Starting something is easy. It's finishing that can be a challenge. Once the initial motivation fades, ideas grow scarce, or the project drags on for too long, it risks being stuck in an unfinished limbo. When this happens repeatedly, it can become quite demotivating. So what can you do about it? I could just say, get it done and finish your stuff, but let's be real, it's not that simple. This is a hobby after all, and in this case, it's a pretty time-intensive one too. Instead, let me share 4 simple strategies I use to ensure I finish my projects, while I finish a few projects. This is something you need to approach with caution. Adding external pressure to a project can be highly detrimental if you're not prepared for it. Having experienced burnout myself in the past, I sadly know this all too well. Still, having a bit of external pressure can be incredibly beneficial for keeping you motivated. Over the past few years, thanks to Landry's Realm, I've completed more creative projects than ever before. The drive to finish videos regularly has been and continues to be a significant motivator for my work. I understand, however, that starting a YouTube channel isn't realistic for everyone. But there are plenty of alternatives. You could organize something with friends, like an introductory game or a small tournament. If that's not an option, see if there's already something happening nearby. For instance, local gaming clubs often host events or tournaments. The idea is to find something external to commit to, which can help motivate you to finish the projects you're building. Though again, be mindful of your commitments. It's important to stay realistic when assessing your time and energy. The goal isn't to finish everything in 24 hours. Trust me, I've had my share of experiences with that. Rather, take it step by step and focus on what's manageable. Which brings me to the next thing. Hobbying is sometimes a bit like going to the gym. At first you're full of motivation, but once that fades, your miniatures, paints and brushes start collecting dust. Just like those running shoes you bought at the start of the year. And just like with the gym, it's a good idea to use techniques that build a habit, ideally right from the start. Forming a habit isn't incredibly complicated, but it's not exactly easy either. Entire books have been written about this topic, so there is plenty to explore. To keep it simple though, the first step is to establish a trigger. Something that signals your brain and body that it's time to switch into hobby mode. A trigger is an action you take to initiate a routine you've built over time. For instance, my routine used to involve waking up early and dedicating the first hour of the day to hobbying. And my personal trigger was to simply put on my headphones and listen to the same playlist every day. Afterward, I'd either continue working on my hobby, make breakfast, or get ready to work. No matter what came next, I'd already accomplished some hobby time and could focus on other tasks with a sense of satisfaction. And then just repeat that every day. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, it's a bit more complex than it seems. That's why I highly recommend diving deeper into the topic, either by reading one of these dedicated books or maybe watching a YouTube video. They'll explain it far better than I could within the limited time of this video. Still, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, please consider subscribing and giving it a like. If you'd like to support me in creating more videos like this, please check out my Patreon. There you can access early ad-free versions of these videos and the Landry's Realm Discord community. If you have experience with working on projects, you've probably heard of the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. It suggests that roughly 80% of outcomes stem from 20% of causes. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that spending 20% of your time on a project will result in 80% of its completion, but you can use this rule as a helpful guideline. When painting miniatures, for example, I usually start with speed paints or similar products to quickly apply a base coat. The advantage of this approach is its flexibility. You can stop there and call it done or build on it further. For example, you could add highlights or introduce additional tones. However, the key is recognizing that at this stage, your model is already tabletop ready. Everything you do beyond is just an extra touch. The same principle applies to terrain. Taking your time to add small details can undoubtedly result in a much more rewarding and visually striking piece, but it also makes the process more time-intensive. Keep in mind that you can always go back and add extra details after the initial painting is complete. This way you can strike a balance between finishing pieces and refining them over time. This one focuses more on your mindset while crafting. While seeing other people's projects can be incredibly inspiring, it can also feel intimidating, especially when you start comparing yourself to the creators you see on social media. The thing is, these examples often don't represent the average hobbyist. The most proficient people you see on these platforms are either professionals or hobbyists with years of experience. Some may have just started, but in any case, no one has the exact same experience or skill level as you. Comparing yourself to others is like comparing apples to oranges. It's not a fair or even meaningful comparison in any way. Again, that doesn't mean social media can't be a fantastic resource for inspiration or learning something new. However, it is important to remember that this is a journey. Don't feel discouraged if you think your creations aren't as quote-unquote good as others. Thank you for watching. I hope these tips help you finish your project. They certainly worked for me. Do you have other methods for ensuring you complete your projects? If so, feel free to share them in the comments below. And as always, farewell, fellow adventurers.